Okay, let's start. I have a question for everybody. Is there a Dave in the room? No? Good. Otherwise I'll get killed halfway through this presentation. Now, my name is Marcel Koert. I'm an SRE, senior SRE. I have done a lot of work for the ING, for a lot of other banks. I built reliable systems on scale for them. And so I have about 25 years experience. But what I also like is teaching. Teaching is a harsh word. I like blogging, I make videos, and I do talks to get people to understand what's going on. Well, let me start with a confession. The last time I witnessed an outage, a critical outage, it wasn't caused by Kubernetes, it wasn't caused by Terraform, and it wasn't even a bug in the code. It was, and that's why I asked for Dave. Dave, yeah? Dave was on call. It was late Friday, he pushed a hotfix to production and didn't communicate because Slack was too quiet. We love Dave, but he downed production. Now, this isn't a cautionary tale, it's a pattern. Yeah? And if you worked in tech long enough, you know this happens, and it happens quite a lot. Maybe you've seen Dave before. I haven't, but I have been Dave myself before. Yeah? So it happens. So today I want to talk about something that we don't talk enough about in DevOps. Not pipelines, not containers, not availability stacks, but humans. You, me. Because when you pull back the dashboards and the YAMLs, you find that human behavior is a real engine behind reliability. So let's break that down. We often treat reliability as numbers, SLO, SLE, error budgets, dashboards full of metrics, thresholds with red and green lights, but there is more behind there. But the truth is, reliability isn't just what your tools tell you. It is what your people do when the tools break, when the red light comes on. Yeah? Because behind every uptime number, there's a human story. A team making a judgment call under pressure. An on-call engineer waking up at 3 a.m. and deciding not to fix something, not to restart a pod, or does restart a pod. A product owner deciding to push something before it's finished, or before the tests are finished. Yeah? Decisions that we make all the time, and they all are about reliability. So the real question isn't just, is your system reliable? But it's also, are we behaving in a reliable way? Oh, this goes too fast. I had more to say, but it's written down and I have no idea what I wanted to say. Okay, you probably heard this was saying before. Most problems are really communication problems in disguise. In DevOps, this isn't just a saying, it's a warning. I've seen it at first hand. Multi-million-dollar systems, euros, that stop not because of hardware failure, not because of a bug that has been found somewhere. No, basically somebody changed an API endpoint further down the line and nobody was informed. So why does this happen? Purely because there was no ticket, no Slack message, no stand-up update, just silence and then chaos because everything started failing. And there's a thing, we often treat communication as an optional polish, like a soft skill you deal with after the real work is done. But I argue the opposite. Communication and flies is your first line of defense in reliability. Because when you speak up, when you clarify, when you show what you're doing, when you slow down just enough to check alignment, we prevent incidents. When we don't, even the best ops availability can only tell you that it broke. It can tell you that somebody forgot to change a config file, or did change a config file, or assume someone else would restart a service, or missed a step in the migration playbook. Communication isn't soft, it's not fluffy, it's an operational resilience in real time. And if you want to build systems that bend, not just break, we need the culture where speaking up is easy. Yeah? We want handovers. We want somebody say, hey, did anybody tell the team that this is changing? Yeah, process. Now, I know what you're thinking. Snoozy, meetings, tickets, approval, more stuff to get in your way of really work. I do get that. Nobody wants to wake up and look in your eye and see something. But there's a problem with that. Most incidents don't start with a massive failure. They start with somebody saying, maybe we should skip this step. Maybe this just once, just this time, just to move it along faster. And that's how problems begin. See, if process isn't about slowing you down, it's about stopping you from stepping on landmines you didn't know exist. It's the checklist that catches the thing your tired brain missed. It's a secure set of eyes on a risky change. It's the pause before deploying to prod on a Friday afternoon. That was my Dave moment, by the way. Deploying something on Friday afternoon. And in the weekend, somebody coming back to me saying, hey, something broke. Because every step you skip in the name of speed is a bet against reliability. And sure, you will win a few times, but eventually it will catch up. And let's be clear, code reviews, not optional. Change control, not red tape. Testing, not a luxury. All those things are needed. And I know it's seductive to take a shortcut, especially when you're under pressure for doing things fast. But technical build on a process, that's a ticking time bomb. So next time when you say, we'll document it later, let's skip this test. It's just a small change. Remember, process isn't the enemy, it's protection. Next one. Yay. There we are. Have you ever seen a system that just works? You log on, it works. Logging is correct, metrics is correct, alerting is correct. Everything just works. Everything is fine. Everything really was thought through. That isn't magic. It isn't tooling. It's one big thing. It's ownership. And not the ownership like a Jira ticket on your board and saying, oh yeah, it's on my board, so it's probably mine. No, real ownership. Ownership that is felt by the people that work on it. People that want to take a step more. They want to do things. They want to improve their product. Yeah? So bringing ownership to a team, to a product, is very important, because then you create a deep caring about the product. You create somebody that thinks about the 3 a.m. page, thinks about what they should notice, sees things before they're a problem and fixes them, not just reactive. They do it proactive. One thing that is in soft skills and is almost never talked about, curiosity. If you're not curious about something in your work or your product or whatever you maintain, then something will go wrong, because technology evolves too fast. If you're not curious about the technology, not curious about what you're seeing, you will be left behind. The team will freeze, you will freeze. You need to keep learning, and reliable teams are learning teams. They experiment with new tools, safely, let's be honest. They set time aside for upskill, and they stay curious about why something failed. I had a team a few years ago that was implementing failure Fridays. They broke the system, in acceptance of course, not in production, on purpose every Friday. Yeah? By they bringing down services, by bringing down configurations. Yeah? What happened is they learned so much from those failures that when something really happens, their mean time to recovery dropped. Yeah? They had confidence in the problems that they were fixing. The real incidents came and they were calm, they were fast, because they were learning. They had learned, and they had learned how to work the system. Now, again, training isn't overhead. Yeah? Training is part of your work. It isn't time away from work. You need to keep yourself up to date. The team needs to stay up to date. So learning isn't an added. It's part of the core of SRE. When there's an incident, something strange happens in a team. Now, When there's an incident, it's a mirror of how the team dynamics work. Yeah? You have people in a team and there's an incident and you will see how they react to that incident. Yeah? Like a messy room where there's suddenly a light flicked on. You can see the cracks, you can see habits, you can see dynamics. Yeah? So do people freeze? Do they in fear, paralyzed? Yeah? Don't know what's going on, don't know what's wrong. Do they start pointing fingers and blaming each other? Or did they learn? And are they calm, clear and focused and want to solve a problem together? These incident moments reveal the real dynamics in a team, the real team, the real people, even more than a retrospective will. A retrospective, you can say things, you can lie. In an incident, there is no way to get around it. You need to fix it. You need to work together. So you will see it. And again, let's switch it. This is not a team-only thing. Yeah? It's a culture thing. So it's not only the team, but also the organization that needs to be playing a part in this. The most reliable teams I have seen are not teams that are always successful. Yeah? Those are teams that have been through the wars together. They work together in very difficult circumstances, and that bonds them and that makes them more reliable. As an SRE, as in DevOps, everybody knows there are a lot of changes. Yeah? Everything changes, systems change, software change. What is the hard truth behind that is that not change itself causes chaos. Yeah? It's the lack of discipline when a change happens. So you see it again and again going wrong in production. Oh, when there's an issue and you come together and you start talking and somebody says, oops, I rolled out a hotfix earlier. No ticket, no test, no communication, nothing. Yeah, that's a problem. The biggest problem with that is that you lose trust in your teams. And when trust is gone, reliability is gone. So respect changes. Respect change. But also understand that a well-managed change isn't bureaucracy. It's a protection. It's a protection against problems. So plan, test, and communicate. Otherwise, you will run into the problem once in a while that all of a sudden it doesn't work and nobody knows why. Monitoring. Oh, we got perfect monitoring. Everybody says that. Everybody has metrics. Everybody has logging. If you don't, I don't know why you're sitting here. Yeah, but that's the technical side of it. Is anybody actually looking at it? Is anybody actually updating it? Yeah. Oh, I get an alert about something. Yeah, that's the alert we always get. We can ignore it. That's not a good thing. Yeah? But that's a log line that we always get. It's an error. Nothing happens with it because it's not important. So if a team wants to evolve, they need to take ownership of their metrics, of their logging, of their monitoring. They need to have the audacity to look at it and to question it, not once, but every month. Or at a regular interval. If you say every sprint, every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, doesn't matter. But very regularly, you need to look at it, and it needs to be a team function, not a person function. Because if only one person does it, it doesn't work. It needs to be a function of the team. I missed a few of the talks, but I heard that there was already mentioned about blameless postmortems and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it is important. A real blameless postmortem. Yeah, not just the timelines, not just the root cause analysis, not just the technical breakdowns, but also a review of the team, of what happened. Why didn't it work? How did we respond? Why did we respond that way? It's a soft skill, but it is important. And if you go that route and you blame people, they will shut down. Yeah? You will not get the real answers. You will get fiction. Yeah? Because you want to have people say, yes, I didn't follow the process because I was confused. and afraid to ask. I missed that alert because I was overworked. You want to hear those things, but if it's not a real blameless postmortem, you won't, because they think they will get fired for it. Harsh, but so make it not just about the technical things in your postmortems, but also the function of the people. Most of the time, when it gets complex, we think, let's do more automation. Let's do another dashboard. Let's plug in another platform. Don't get me wrong, tools are important. They help us scale, observe, and recover. But there's a hard truth. It's not a tool's problem. It's a people pattern. How are people reacting? So if you want to fix systems by adding the complexity, you're on the wrong line. You should lessen the complexity. And you should build better conversations, better habits, better team dynamics. Because reliability doesn't only live in your technical stack, it also lives in your team and in your people. There are a set of questions you should ask. How are we communicating? Who felt responsible? Who didn't? What assumptions were we operating under? Yeah? What was clear? What wasn't clear? Create space to learn from did we create a space to learn from our last failure? We see a lot of times that we fix it and go on. We don't learn from what was happened. And always check the culture of the team, of the organization. So this is the last slide. At the end of the day, your system isn't what runs in production. It isn't just what runs in production. It's not just containers, pipelines, dashboards, playbooks. There's a big component that is largely overlooked. That's what I've been starting this talk about. People, you. It's how we behave when things go wrong. It's how we show up when the pressure is on, when the alerts won't stop, when the root causes are murky, and when somebody's voice shakes on the call because they think they just broke production. In those moments, reliability becomes real and the interaction between people becomes real. It's not in the code, but in the culture. How do we act? If we treat each other with trust instead of blame, if we take ownership, not pass the buck, and this is, if we learn even when we're tired, if we approach incidents with clarity and not panic, reliability will follow. That was it. If there are any questions, any disagreements, I would like to hear it. No? Oh, you got an extra one. Okay. It is extremely difficult to get there because it's not in the human nature. Yeah? But there are teams that get very close. And I'm going to point, I have some colleagues here that probably recognize me. I worked at the ING quite a lot. And there are several teams there that really have that culture. The problem is there, and in most organizations, that is a team that has the culture and not the organization. Yeah, because the organization wants to push and wants to go on. And the team needs to be very strong and very senior to stand up against that. There are teams that are making it, but it's a process of years. And what in those teams is that there's a core of people, senior people, that stay in that team. And then there's a rotation of other people that slowly rotate in and out of that team. Yeah? But if the core of that team stays long enough and that core of that team wants this, it will happen. But yes, it's difficult and it's slow. Another question? One. Or Yes, it is a rational expectation of that to happen because it builds very much on top of the reliability that you want. It adds and adds. Again, I completely agree with you that it's not easy to achieve. Yeah, like I said just a moment ago. But there are teams that are doing it, and those teams become very good in their reliability. Again, culture and the option to do it needs to be given by the organization. I've seen it. It works. It does happen, but it's very difficult. Yeah, and I agree with all that, that it's probably for most of you a far away reaching thing to get to, but I do think you should try to get to it. And you will get a lot of hurdles in the process, but it is the best thing for a team. And it's the best way to make it, your system, more reliable. Because only technical reliability isn't enough. And you know that. Right. Yeah. Sorry, one more time? Okay. The two main ones are openness and communication. I am very open in what I do good, but I'm also very open in what I do wrong. Yeah. I'm a hired hand most of the time. I'm not internal, I'm external for most companies. And when I get in there, you need to be open what you do, communicate what you do, and when it goes wrong, also be open and communicate what goes wrong. Yeah, those are the two major ones. Yeah, definitely. Yes, yeah, it definitely is easier as you when you're external to be open and also take the blame because in 2 years you're gone anyway. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And caveat: I've been working with ING now for 8 years in different steps, leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back. Yeah, so even when you're open, it works. Yeah, but I understand that the pressure, if you're internal, to take responsibility for your failures can be daunting, but it works. If the team culture is correct, you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to take blame for what you did. You need to take responsibility for your failures. Because if you're not, the whole team dynamics is wrong. Right. You're welcome.